Hi, this is Tina Volz Bongar, and I live in Peekskill, New York. And I've been asked by these nice people to come on for 5 minutes and give you an update about what is happening here in Peekskill and with the Decommissioning Oversight Board. And this is about the decommissioning of Indian Point. And I live about a mile from the plant. I can see it actually from my second story window, and my amazing 99-year-old mother can see the plant too from her window. So we have gotten together and formed a state oversight board um, that is being overseen by the Public Service Commission, and specifically Tom Condon and John Sipos. And so we have been meeting, and we have as we go. And because this is a relatively new board, each meeting has been different, the format, because of lots of input from the different activists involved and community members. So right now we are poised to address the emergency evacuation procedures at Indian Point. Many of us are involved because of the Algonquin Incremental Market, the AIM pipeline expansion that happened recently. Recently, I would say in the last 5 years, next to Indian Point. There are also three, well, two other gas pipelines that run underneath Indian Point that a lot of folks don't know about. Those were put there in the 50s, and they've been patched together no matter what these pipeline companies say about how they've been fixed and everything else. Let's just call it what it is. Have been patched and run underneath the plant. So there are many of us very concerned about this, and have put pressure not only on our local and regional elected officials, but also our federal ones. And that's Senator Gillibrand, Senator Schumer, and currently Congressmember Mondaire Jones. We've also been pressuring here in the community PHMSA about getting us an adequate risk assessment. When they decided to, the federal government and FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, decided to put in this project, we feel that they did not do the right kind of risk assessment of putting this thing next to a nuclear power plant that's 50 years old, and they're going to decommission. And when they decommission, there are going to be over 2,000 tons. Is that correct? That's 2,000 tons of irradiated fuel rods left over. And so the big question is what are we going to do with those fuel rods? In the meantime, this company has taken over. New York State gave them the licensing agreement, and they are decommissioning at this point. So we do not have an adequate emergency evacuation plan in place for a co-location incident of the pipeline and also Indian Point. For instance, what does that mean? That means that we get a little booklet that tells us what to do, tells us to take some iodine pills, by the way, if there's a radiological incident, and do a couple of other things, which involve, sheltering in place. When there is a gas pipeline emergency, we are told not to use our cell phones because that could ignite another pipeline, combustion, thing. And so there are contradictory instructions that we have for an emergency evacuation. I told you about my 99-year-old mother. She's got several other seniors in her building that are wondering what they should do. In the meantime, we got something from New York State, just to tell you what this is like. We got something from New York State, and it had a QR code on it. And all these seniors came to me, and they said, what is this what is this thing that's on here? I said, oh, that is actually something that you can read with a computer app. A what? How do you get it read by the computer app? Well, that's actually on your phone. So anyway, and I'm laughing at everything else, and obviously it's because it's an it, it's ridiculous that I'm having this conversation and that we don't have a plan in place. And people aren't educated about the fact of what's going on at Indian Point, that it's, and that we have these gas pipelines in place and what the heck we need to do in case that there's an emergency. So with that said, it was always challenged what the emergency evacuation procedures were at Indian Point. We have a siren, we have a little bus stop. We're supposed to have a bus that comes and picks us up in the case of a radiological emergency. Not any of this is very realistic, as we know. And unfortunately, those of us, I think it's all of us, have lived through 9/11, know that it's never really how it seems when it happens. So, with that said, we are putting a lot of pressure on the New York State Oversight Board, Decommissioning Oversight Board, to come up with a plan to uh, to develop these procedures and educate the public. A lot of us feel that they should shut off the pipelines, shut them down, the old pipelines, proactively and before while they're decommissioning. This was also a conclusion of the New York State when they did a risk assessment, um, and which they sent to FERC, wrote a letter to FERC, and said, we really think that some of these older pipelines might need to be shut off. So in the meantime, that hasn't happened. And then they said, well, we really didn't think that we meant what we meant when we said that. So I know we said that, but that's not really what we meant, because we never knew we were going to be in this position where we really should shut off the gas and purge the pipelines. That's a very important aspect of this, which is actually purging the pipelines. Because even if when you shut it down, you've got a lot of methane, a lot of gas still in there, which can be disruptive and is dangerous. So anyway, so with that said, we're going to have a presentation from the county on our evacuation procedures as they exist now. And they will tell us that they think, the county, that everything is okay and that we should be following these practices and it's just fine. We've been waiting to hear what their official stance on the pipeline is, and they do have the owner of the pipeline, Enbridge fellow, who they have representation from Enbridge, which is a very big thing for us. It's very difficult to pin down these pipeline operators, apparently, and they are going to attend the meeting. So hopefully they will have the strength. I mean, they'll have the representation, they'll have the interest from us. We put pressure on them to ask Enbridge about the existing pipelines that are there running under the decommissioning and what kind of shape that they're in. So you asked, I'm just I'm just a messenger.